Welcome to the Witchy Work Wishes podcast, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. Welcome to Beltane, my wild-hearted witches, and welcome to another episode of Witchy Work Wishes. I am your host, Charlene, and oh my goodness, can you feel it? That heady, pulsing magic in the air, that electric hum in the earth beneath your bare feet. Beltane is here, and you know what? She is not tiptoeing in quietly. She is bursting through like wildflowers after the last frost, dancing with firelight and perfume, just beckoning us to throw off our coats and leap into life with abandon. Beltane, also known as May Day, sits at that, perfect sweet spot on the wheel of the year, halfway between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. It is the, turning point where the fertility of the land begins to bloom into fullness, and, the days stretch long with that golden light. Now, historically rooted in ancient Celtic tradition, Beltane is a fire festival that marked the beginning of summer, a time when, livestock were moved to those greener pastures and great, huge, big bonfires were lit to protect and bless the season ahead. But this isn't just about practical rituals. No. Beltane is a celebration of life itself. It is the sacred union of the god and the goddess, the divine masculine and divine feminine, dancing together in passionate harmony. It is the spark of creation, the deep inhale before the full bloom, the ecstatic celebration of fertility, abundance, and, growth in all forms. And you know what, we witches, we know how to throw a celebration, right? We twirl ribbons around the maypole, honoring the spiraling dance of energy and intention. We craft flower crowns with blossoms just bursting in color, adorning ourselves like, the sacred creatures that we are. We laugh loudly, we kiss sweetly, and we jump the Beltane fires, leaping with hope, with joy, and, with a sacred yes to whatever lies ahead. Each spark, each little ember holds a blessing, a wish, a prayer. This is a festival of community, of heart, of, turning on our inner lights and letting them just burn bright. Beltane reminds us that we are meant to bloom wildly, unapologetically, and together. So whether you are lighting a candle in your apartment, or maybe you are actually dancing barefoot in a dewy meadow. Oh my goodness, I'm so jealous if you are. Please know this though. Know that you are a part of an ancient celebration, one that honors love in all of its forms, growth in all of its stages, and magic in every corner of the world. Okay, before we jump into today's episode though, I do want to give a hint, just a little hint of our May energy for our Patreon family, and what is actually happening in my little corner of the world right now. And instead of telling you, how about I give you a sound? Ready? As many of you know, I am not only a business witch, a moon gardener, a podcast hostess, but also a foster mom for the Humane Society. And right now, nestled in a warm little basket beside me are six, just week-old kittens. Their eyes are still closed, their mews barely little whispers, and their entire world exists in soft blankets, bottle feeds every few hours, and the steady rhythm of love. This week, as I welcomed these tiny beings into my home, I couldn't help but feel the pulse of Beltane in their presence. This Sabbath is all about fertility and life force, new beginnings and blooming potential. And here they are, 6 tiny vessels of that very energy, fragile Absolutely. Yes, yes. But so full of promise. So alive with the spark of, becoming. There is a wild magic in caring for something so vulnerable. It's not loud or flashy. It's the quiet kind. The kind that rises, with the dawn, whispers through sleepless nights, and wraps itself around your heart like ivy. These kittens are teaching me again and again that nurturing is sacred. It's like spell work in motion. It's love made tangible. Beltane reminds us this is the season to stoke the fires of creation and dance with joy, to fall wildly in love with life itself. And for me, what a greater act of love than, tending to life itself at its very beginning. So whether you are planting seeds in the earth, maybe you are casting intentions for your business, or in my case right now, nurturing tiny fur babies towards their forever homes. You are participating in the Beltane current. You are the flame. You are the fertile ground. All right, so kitten season. It is time, and I am knee-deep in it with 6 of my own that I am caring for right now. Now, with our May Patreon card draw, you know what, you guys? I am not surprised. With all of the magical energy that we've been working with and stirring up and calling on during the month of April, I'm just not surprised that this is the direction that I was given. This month, the card that emerged feels ancient and infinite. It speaks of wholeness and completion and, sacred potential that is still coiled within. It is a symbol that holds the breath of the cosmos, the echo of all that ever was, and all, honestly, that's yet to still become. This energy wraps around us like the silken veil of Beltane. It's a little soft and shimmering, asking, what truth is ready to awaken within you? What power have you been cradling in the quiet, just, like waiting to hatch? For my Patreon family, I will be sharing a deeper dive into this magical card and how it aligns with the potent union of Beltane and the new moon that's starting us off this May. And of course, how we can work with this energy to birth something powerful into our lives. So if you've been feeling the stirrings of, something vast within you, this is the month that we are going to lean in, everyone. The egg is beginning to crack. So join us, listen to what is ready to emerge. The Witchy Work Wishes Patreon family does have 4 levels, so there really is something for everyone. There is a free tier. It's kind of like our listening circle, and it really just kind of opens up the little spark of curiosity for you. It is a great tier if you are new to our family. If you just want a little monthly magic to inspire your path. There's no pressure, just, presence, energy, and community. It is a great beginning level where you get the early podcast releases. For our family, it comes out the Sunday before. And you also get the monthly card draw guiding our witchy work goals for the month. The next level is called the Alchemist Apprentice. And this one is really geared for, the witch who's kind of ready to stir the cauldron a bit more and begin weaving a little work magic into their everyday practice. Everything, of course, is there from the free tier, plus you receive a monthly worksheet that supports the energy of the card draw. This is going to include journal prompts to deepen your self-reflection, magical exercises to bring the card's message into life, and a custom tea recipe to sip while you conjure. It is a beautiful way to work rhythm and ritual into your month, all inspired again by the card spirit that we pull together. The third level is the Mystic Maven. This one's really going to be for the witch who moves with a little bit more intention and wants a monthly spell to add a little bit more purpose to their practice. You, of course, receive everything from the free and Alchemist Apprentice tier, early episodes, monthly card draw, and the worksheet, but you get the added infusion of power. So each month you'll receive a custom witchy spell, written to align with our card pull and designed to support you and your work energetically in the weeks ahead. These spells are crafted with care to be easy and potent and deeply, deeply personal. I don't have a bunch of complex tools, just your will and the wisdom of the cards. And then the highest tier, the 4th tier, is the Enchanted Entrepreneur. This one really is geared more for like the business witch, visionary soul, the spell weaver who leads with light. This tier includes everything from the previous levels and unlocks a treasure chest of deeper work with a monthly grimoire worksheet. Inside, you'll find symbolic correspondences tied to the card energy, a focused spellwork theme, a custom sigil to charge and use, and a handcrafted potion, recipe. I also do a full moon ritual with a grimoire and a monthly, magical exercise for it. This level is designed especially for witches who walk the line between personal magic and professional growth. This tier will keep your mystical practice aligned with the rhythms of the moon and your goals. So if you have been feeling the spark of this sacred work and want to walk even deeper into the circle with me, I would just love to invite you to our Patreon family. It really is where the real magic happens behind the scenes and, with our rituals and spells and journal prompts, monthly energy that we all get to do and build on together. Your support not only helps keep the cauldron bubbling here at Witchy Work Wishes, but it also allows me to keep creating soulful content that blends witchcraft work and just everyday enchantment. So whether you are curious, just starting out, or ready to dive into the grimoire level like glow up, there is a seat at our table just for you. I would love, love, love for you to come be a part of the magic. All right, I do have a story for you today, just for our Witchy Work Wishes family, and it is a Beltane fairy tale. It is going to walk us right into the magic that is actually happening right now. All right, and it goes. On the morning of May 1st, just as the sun stretched its golden fingers across the dew-drenched earth, a small shimmer stirred beneath a hawthorn tree. Her name was Thistlewing. She was a spring fairy, barely taller than a tulip stem, with hair like silk spun from dandelion fluff, and wings that glowed like the edge of a rainbow just after a rain. Thistlewing had watched the wheel of the year turn many times, and she knew the signs. The fires had been lit the night before, the veil between worlds was thin, and somewhere nearby, someone had planted a new garden. And fairies, you see, love a new garden. Thistlewing zipped through the morning mist, trailing sparkles and scent, lavender, rosemary, and a bit of earth still warm from the dream of roots. She followed the call of fresh soil and new intention until she arrived at the edge of a little backyard where a newly tilled bed of land waited patiently, outlined by stones and ringed with marigolds. This garden wasn't much, well, not yet. Just a few hopeful seedlings, a hanging chime made of spoons, and a small ceramic hen nestled in the corner like a guardian. But magic? Oh, it was everywhere. Someone had whispered whispers into the soil. Someone had lit a candle under her moon. Someone had danced barefoot across the grass and left behind laughter in the air. Thistlewing hovered just above the tender green leaves. She pressed her fingers into her lips, kissed the wind, and let that kiss fall over the garden like a blessing. "Grow strong," she whispered to the spinach. "Bloom boldly," she told the calendula. "Protect this place," she asked of the lavender. And to the ceramic hen, she gave a wink and said, "Keep an eye on things for me." Before the sun reached its full rise, Thistlewing tucked a tiny acorn into the base of the hawthorn tree, her thank you to the land. It would sprout next year, long after the garden had grown wild and full. It was her gift and her promise to return. Just then, as the wind picked up and the sound of a bell rang in the distance, Thistlewing vanished, leaving only the faintest shimmer on a garden leaf and a single soft feather that hadn't been there the night before. And so the garden grew, nourished by sunlight, tended by hands, and watched over by one very quiet, very magical presence. And every year on May 1st, if the morning is misty and the marigolds are blooming, the garden glows just a little more brightly. Because on Beltane, some visitors are too magical to be seen, but not too magical to be felt. All right, my friends, it is time. So light your fire, grab your cup of tea. The season of passion and possibility has arrived. It is time for our Beltane celebration. Now that we've danced our way into the sacred firelight of Beltane, let's take a moment to really feel into the unique energy of this Beltane, this May 1st, 2025, because while the heart of the Sabbath remains certainly rooted in tradition, the sky and the seasons above us bring their own flavor, their own whisperings, their own, sacred nudge to awaken something new within us this year. So let's look up, shall we? Because Beltane 2025 falls just after our dark moon this past weekend and the new moon that started on Sunday. That's a powerful little combo, a time for, stillness, release, and clearing out old energy. But unlike Samhain, which also happens during a liminal moment in the year, Beltane invites us to release with joy, not grief. It's like, sweeping out a house before a big celebration. There's laughter in the letting go. There's sparkle in the surrender. And astrologically, Venus and Mars, the classic cosmic lovers, will both be in fire and air signs around this time, kind of stirring up themes of desire and movement, flirtation and creation. With Venus in Gemini and Mars in Leo, this Beltane, feels a little playful, right? Passionate and certainly bold. It's kind of like a cosmic green light to flirt with life. Make your move. Light the match. But it's also a reminder that manifestation doesn't have to be solemn or heavy, right? We don't have to suffer to be spiritual. Beltane teaches us that joy is a worthy spell. Pleasure is a sacred ritual, and laughter is an invocation of life. Now, on the wheel of the year, Beltane is the great ignition point, right? If Ostara was the planting of seeds and the promise of potential, Beltane is where the spark matches the spell. It's the moment you begin to see shoots break the surface, right? It's the kiss of sun on our skin, the spark of chemistry, the inhale before a moan. The moment of aliveness that makes you just want to sing. This is the season of fertility, yes, of course, but it's not just like the traditional sense. This is the fertility of creativity, of our wild ideas, new partnerships, of courage, to try something different. It is the fertility of soul seeds, finally nourished enough to grow. It's about honoring our sensuality in all of its forms, right? Touch, taste, the scent, sound, and beauty. This is embodiment. This is enchantment. Beltane is the time to honor what turns you on, emotionally, spiritually, creatively. What makes your heart race in the best way? What calls to be kissed into life? So with that, my lovely witchlings and radiant rebels, I would ask you this. What are you calling into bloom? What idea, desire, project, or version of yourself is finally ready to take shape in the light of longer days and warmer nights? This is your invitation to get clear, to get bold, to flirt with the universe and co-create something just luscious. Write it down, say it aloud, dance with it, light a candle and whisper your wishes into the flame. Crown yourself with blossoms and declare, I am ready, I am blooming, and I am becoming. Because this is your Beltane, and the earth, she's dancing with you right now. The cosmos are conspiring in your favor, and the fire is waiting for you to leap. Okay, let's do our basics first, right? Beltane 101. It is traditionally celebrated on May 1st. It is a cross-quarter type of day. It's halfway between the spring equinox, Mostara, right? And our summer solstice, which we call Litha. Themes for Beltane are really going to be heavy on fertility and union. Think about like divine masculine and feminine here. It's about passion and sensuality. It's about fire in ignition. It's about abundance and growth. It's about creativity and manifestation. It's definitely about the liminal spaces that we've been talking about for 3 episodes in April, especially the Fae. And it's about celebration of our life. It's about, celebrating joy and vitality. Our Beltane symbols are going to be the maypole, like fire, bonfires, candles, flower crowns for sure, ribbons, like colorful, bright, happy color ribbons, lover's knot, hawthorn branches, and anything that's going to tie into like fertility talismans. Think of like eggs, acorns, and seed pods for that. Our herbs and flowers for Beltane are the hawthorn. This is sacred to the Fae. It is heart opening. Roses are big right now. They definitely represent, love, beauty, sensuality. Thyme is a big one. This is, with Beltane, it's definitely about fairy connection, but it's also about courage and protection. Yarrow is big right now. This represents love and boundaries and divination. Mint's a good one right now for Beltane. Think about tying this with like vitality, communication, and just like overall refreshment. Lavender's really nice for Beltane. Typical, representation is going to be balance, of course, peace, calm, sensuality type feelings. And marigolds are highly tied to Beltane. They are representation of the sun, the joy, attraction. For our colors, I would say, red for sure, right? This is our fire element, passion, just life force. White is going to be great right now. This is our purity, union, and spiritual alignment color. Green for growth, fertility, and earth. Pink, representing, love and tenderness. Gold, think about the sun again, right? Abundance, success, solar magic even. And then honestly, any of your floral tones are going to be great for Beltane. Just, kind of reflect that like full bloom type energy. Now for deities, Flora is a Roman goddess she's a goddess of flowers. We also have Bel, or maybe Belenus, not sure, but this is a Celtic god of light and fire. We have the green man right now, the typical embodiment of like nature's spirit, fertility, and rebirth. Pan is highly associated with Beltane. This is representing like wild sexuality, music, and freedom. And then we have our May Queen and the Horned God. These are the Beltane symbolic lovers. See, I mentioned elements, but fire for sure. This is our main one. Earth, I would say a hot second. It's a solid second runner-up, for our grounding, fertility, and growth. We always can work in a little bit of air and water, really tie in all 4 elements to Beltane. Think of maybe a balance with this one, love magic. But if you're looking for the two main ones, fire for sure, number 1, and then earth, second. Crystals for Beltane, I don't know, I like carnelian, rose quartz, garnet, citrine, and emeralds right now. Carnelians, I would try to pull the energy of like vitality, courage, maybe a little bit of sexual energy for that one. Rose quartz is always good though, right? It's self-love, it's emotional opening. Garnets right now, I think those are tied to Beltane for the sensuality element of their energy. We're going to talk about confidence and devotion with garnets. Citrine, just for the joy, abundance, and creativity that goes directly with Beltane. And then emeralds, right? That's our connection to earth. It's our heart chakra and fertility type energy. Let's see, for foods, it's all about honey still. I know honey's been the hot topic for a couple months now, but Beltane still is heavy with honey. We've got strawberries, oat cakes, mead, of course, spring greens, and then our floral teas, like chamomile, hibiscus, and rose. But really anything that is seasonal, right? Anything that is bright or infused with edible flowers is going to be really good for Beltane. Now, if you have been walking with me the last few episodes, then you have already peeked behind the curtain into the glittering, shadowy, and utterly enchanting world of the Fae. We've talked about what it means to the walk between the worlds, how to navigate the realm of shadow folk and dark fae, and the vital difference between nature spirits and, the fae themselves. But now here we are. We have arrived at Beltane, and, everything we've explored, it suddenly feels a little closer, right? It's a little more real. The veil between the worlds is thin right now, my friends, like very thin. And the fae are watching, listening, and waiting. So Beltane, just like Samhain, is one of the great two liminal gateways of our calendar year. A time when the boundary between our world and the other worlds just soften. And if there ever was a season when the fae danced among us, draped in blossom and wild laughter, it is right now. You may feel them more tangibly during this time. That sudden breeze that lifts your hair like a kiss. That sparkle of movement just beyond your garden gate. That inexplicable sense of joy or mischief bubbling up in your belly. Yes, I think that's them. But remember, as we've discussed, working with the fae requires more than belief. It requires respect, diplomacy, caution even. These are not fluffy, harmless creatures. They are powerful, they are ancient, and they are as wild as the flames that we light in Beltane's honor. So how do we honor them this season? I think we leave offerings, a little, like a little splash of cream, a few strawberries, or a ribbon tied gently to a tree. We speak of words of gratitude, not demands. We open our senses and our intuition, letting them guide us gently to the places where, the veil feels thinnest, beneath a hawthorn tree or at a crossroad, in moonlit gardens just before dawn. And above all, we celebrate, right? The fae love beauty. They adore laughter and music and poetry and joy. So when we dance and sing and wear flowers in our hair and jump in the Beltane fires, we are not just celebrating this season. We are aligning ourselves with the heartbeat of the earth, the magic of liminality, and the untamed delight of the fae. All right, let's talk about bringing this fire festival into our modern lives, because yes, we can celebrate Beltane whether we are in a cottage in the woods or in a high-rise office tower. Magic lives where we live. It breathes through intention and ritual and joy, and it doesn't require a maypole. They're pretty fabulous, though, right? Let's call it what it is. They are amazing, but you don't have to have one to celebrate Beltane. So how do we weave a little Beltane magic into our modern world? Well, I believe we do it with creativity, a little bit of sensuality, and with full permission to bloom where we are planted. So first, I love the idea of decorating our altars, or even if you have like a sunny windowsill, but decorate with blossoms, roses, hawthorn, daffodils, and wildflowers. Add a red candle for passion. That definitely represents the fire element. And, have a white one too for purity. Drizzle honey into a small dish as an offering to the spirits of love and fertility. And adorn your space with symbols of union, right? A cord tied into a lover's knot. A sprig of rosemary and thyme braided together. Or even just a little figure 8 of twine for infinity. You could even hang ribbons on your doorknobs or from your rear view mirror in your car, each one tied with an intention for growth or desire. Beltane invites us to enchant the ordinary, to let beauty itself be a spell. The other idea I like is getting a little creative in the office because yes, us working witches get to bring Beltane into the boardroom. We can wear colors that align with the season's magic. Green for abundance, orange for confidence, red for vitality. We can tuck a piece of rose quartz or carnelian into our pocket or our desk drawer. Place a sprig of mint into our water bottle to, boost our mental clarity and refresh our Beltane spirits. We can light a cinnamon candle, loud of course, or dab a little drop of essential oil onto your wrist for just that quick boost of fire magic. And if you actually want a Beltane office spell, I gotcha. How about this one? Every time you send an email on Beltane, May 1st, envision it carrying not just information, but it's going to carry your intention. May your words spark connection, collaboration, and confidence with each email you send out that day. Workplace magic is definitely about weaving joy, purpose, and sensual presence into even, I think, the most mundane tasks. Beltane energy wants you to feel good while doing it. All right, another thing we can do is work on, just igniting joy from the inside out. Because Beltane isn't just about fire on the outside. I think it's about fire on the inside. That sensual, sacred spark that just makes you feel alive. This is the season to connect with, your body as a magical vessel. Take a ritual bath with rose petals and citrus. Anoint your pulse points with oils that just make you feel bold. Maybe a little jasmine, maybe a little ginger. Dance under the moonlight, naked or clothed, and feel the way your energy shifts when you move freely. Beltane is a time to fall in love with yourself again. Not in a, fluffy, self-care on a mug kind of way, but in a real, raw, I am a powerful creature of magic type of way. Beltane invites us to remember that our joy is sacred, our pleasure is a spell, and our life is worthy of celebration. Now, I don't know how popular this one is for Beltane, but something very, very special for me during, Beltane is May 1st magical dewdrops. I have mentioned this in previous years' episodes on Beltane, but I would like to make sure I tell you about them again today too. In ancient Celtic and European folk traditions, May 1st dew, specifically the dew collected on the morning of Beltane, was believed to hold powerful, magical, and healing properties. This wasn't just poetic superstition. This belief ran so deep that people, especially young maidens and wise women, they would rise before dawn to gather the dew, walking barefoot through the grass to let it touch their skin, or even carefully dabbing it onto their faces and bodies. Why is it magical? Well, first and foremost, it's Beltane's breath. Dew that is formed on the morning of Beltane as seen as the earth's sacred exhale, the breath of spring that's infused with fertility, potential, and the blessings of nature spirits and the Fae. It's a living talisman of sorts of the, season's abundance. It is also believed that this water is blessed by liminal energy. May 1st is one of the year's most liminal days, when the veil between the worlds is thin. So that means that dew isn't just water. It's veiled in magic. It's touched by spirits. It's kissed by the divine feminine and imbued with the raw, untamed energy of nature. It is magical because it holds beauty magic itself. Now, folk magic says that if you wash your face with Beltane morning dew, it will keep your skin young and radiant, and even bring beauty and love into your life. This tradition was especially popular in Ireland and the British Isles. Maidens would collect it to ensure a glowing complexion and to attract suitors, or simply to commune with the earth in sacred joy. It is also magical because it can be bottled for our spell work. Practitioners will gather May 1st dew in glass jars and, save it for later use in spells for love and beauty, fertility, creativity, and growth. Now, it can be added to floral waters for sure. It could be charged with moon teas or just used to anoint talismans. But how do we work with it? What can we do in our practices? I love the face blessing ritual. On May 1st, gently press the dew into your face and say something like, with a kiss of earth, I bloom anew. May beauty, joy, and love shine through. I also like it for bottled blessings. We can use a small jar, to collect the morning dew, label it with a date, and then charge it on your Beltane altar. Use it throughout the year. Really depends on how much you get, but use it throughout the year to anoint your candles, add to love spells, or mix into sacred sprays. I also like Beltane dew for grounding walks. Go barefoot through the dewy grass at dawn if you can. If there's an open field or somewhere that has all those beautiful dewdrops on each blade of grass. With each step, ground your intentions for the season and imagine your energy syncing with the pulse of Beltane's fire below the soil. Now, some say that the Fae bathe in Beltane dew before sunrise. And if you actually gather it respectfully, you are collecting a bit of their magic too. But be careful, don't take too much. Rarely a problem for me because it's really hard to get, but do not take too much or be too greedy with it. The Fae love balance and they notice when you are not minding it. Now, if you would like to collect May 1st Beltane dewdrops like I am this year, it's going to be really important to do a couple things. You need to wake up before sunrise on May 1st. The dew is most potent and abundant at this liminal hour, that sacred space between night and day. The world is just still at that time. The veil is thin, right? And the earth's breath hasn't yet been disturbed by the hustle and bustle of human energy. If you're going to do it, find a place with fresh, natural grass or leaves, ideally in your own garden. But if you don't have a garden or you're in an apartment or building that doesn't have that space, see if you can find a field or a sacred spot in nature. If you have actually created a Beltane altar or garden space, even better, right? You already have your magical imprint in the land. Bring your own tools though. A little white cotton cloth or the soft, the muslin for gentle absorption of dew. If you are in an area that has a good amount of dew, you can actually collect it in a glass jar or a bowl. But if it is really limited, if you're in a drier space like I typically am, you can just use a small silver spoon or a dropper, just a little dropper to pull up the dewdrops into it. Before you begin though, take a deep breath and ground yourself. You can stand barefoot on the ground if, on the earth if it feels right. Speak aloud, or in your heart, say something about what you're about to do. I gather the dew with gratitude and grace. May this water hold Beltane's embrace. And then however you are going to be collecting your dewdrops, hold the container. Again, it's a little vial, it's a cloth, it's a glass bowl, but hold it in your hands. Whisper a little blessing, a chant or a poem. From morning mist to sacred spell, your magic in my hands shall dwell. With love and light I honor thee, a gift from leaf, from earth, from tree. And then you've got a couple options, right? You can use this dew right away. You can anoint your face with it. You can bless your candles, or you can add it immediately to a love or, like a beauty spell. What I do typically is I gather as much as I can and I store it in a tiny little vial, little glass vial in my altar. And then I use it throughout the years. Throughout the years, it's never, oh my God, it never lasts a whole year. Well, that's not true. That's not true. I had one last almost an entire year. You can add a couple drops of alcohol, like vodka or witch hazel even, to preserve it a little bit longer. But mark it, Beltane dew, May 1st, 2025, and then include any intentions or notes that you have. Again, for later usings, Beauty Magic's a great one. Dab it on your skin for radiant energy. Love spells, charm bags, herbal sprays or floral waters. Sigil activation's great. Moon water blends is good. And of course, our Fae offerings. Now, another big association for Beltane is really one of the most joyful and enduring symbols of it, and that is the maypole. This is, oh my gosh, like bright ribbons streaming in the wind, dancers circling in harmony, and laughter just echoing through the green fields. This is how I envision it. It's not always what happens, but this is how I see it in my head, and it really is an image as old as it is enchanting. Now, the origins of the maypole trace back to ancient European traditions, especially in Germany and the, like Celtic cultures. It's believed the earliest maypoles were actually trees that were freshly cut and then erected in the center of village greens, honoring the sacredness of the land and the spirits that resided in it. These early celebrations marked fertility, abundance, and the intimate marriage of earth and sky, symbolized by the union of the maypole, definitely a phallic symbol of the god, and the wreath or the garlands representing the womb of the goddess. Now, in medieval England, the maypole became a key feature of May Day festivities. Whole communities would gather to erect the pole in the village square, and then dances were performed around it, often weaving ribbons in complex patterns. The dances were not only for joy and celebration, but they were magical acts, honoring the turning of the wheel and asking for fertile fields, strong, livestock, and the blessing of life in full bloom. Even as some of these customs were suppressed over time, especially during our puritanical periods, the maypole actually endured, and it was revived again and again by folk festivals, pagans, and witches who felt the deep pull of its meaning. All right, so how can we, as modern witches, reclaim and weave this practice into our own Beltane celebrations? Well, first, we don't actually need a giant village green or a towering pole to honor the tradition. Honestly, a tabletop maypole crafted with a small wooden dowel, floral base, and colorful ribbons can be just as magical. Gather your friends, your coven mates, or even your inner child and dance around it with intention. Each ribbon can represent a wish, a spell, or a goal that you're calling into bloom this season. You can also create a solitary maypole ritual, right? Place a little mini maypole on your altar and braid the ribbons slowly, meditating on what you are weaving into your life. This is especially potent for manifesting love, creativity, and new ventures because Beltane is all about fire and ignition. Now, if you garden or tend land, you can even choose a small tree or maybe like a branch in your yard to decorate with ribbons, bells, and flowers. Let the wind move the strands and carry your blessings out into the world. Ultimately, though, the maypole, I think it reminds us of our connection to nature's sensual rhythm and the sacred dance of creation, whether it's in a joyful circle with others or it's in a quiet reverence alone. Weaving your intentions with ribbons is a powerful, embodied way to honor the magic of Beltane. Okay, well, if the maypole is the dance of creation, well, then the Beltane fire is its heartbeat. It is wild and sacred and full of life-giving power. Fire is at the very core of Beltane's celebration, both literally and symbolically. It purifies, it protects, it ignites passion, and it marks the turning point toward the light half of the year. Now, historically, Beltane was one of the great fire festivals of the Celtic calendar, celebrated, again, that halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. The name itself comes from the Old Irish Beltane, meaning bright fire or fires of Bel, referencing the ancient deity Belinus, a sun god associated with healing and light. Now, in ancient Celtic lands, great bonfires were lit on hilltops across Ireland and Scotland. Cattle that were obviously vital to survive for them, right, were driven between two fires to purify and protect them before they were sent to summer pastures. People would actually leap over the flames or pass through the smoke, seeking blessings of fertility, protection, and good fortune. These were not just physical acts, though. They were rites of passage through liminal space, moments of powerful transformation. Couples would often jump the fire hand in hand to bind their union with passion and luck, while individuals would leap alone to spark fertility and cleanse the past or awaken a dormant desire. Fire was not feared. It was embraced. It was danced around. It was sung to and honored as a living spirit. So how can we bring a little of this Beltane fire magic into our modern lives? Well, fire pit, bonfire, even a large candle, like this is the time to work with this energy. Take time to sit with it. Fire gazing is a wonderful form of meditation, a way to receive insight from the flickering language of flame. Now, you might write your intentions or past burdens on slips of paper and offer them to the fire as a release and ignition. Jumping over flames is actually still practiced today in many Beltane celebrations, and you can too, with a small contained flame or even a symbolic jump over a candle or a line of tea lights. Speak your desire aloud, feel it stir in your body, and then leap with your whole heart. All right, what if you just said, yeah, Charlene, I can't have an open flame? Yeah, no problem. Guess what? Red, orange, and gold ribbons can be your symbolic flames. Dance with them, hang them in your windows, or weave them through your altar to welcome the spirit of fire. You can even take a warm bath by candlelight and anoint yourself with oils like cinnamon and clove or ginger. Think of the herbs that work with heat and passion. Now, for witches in the corporate world or those just in apartments, a fire ritual can be as simple as lighting a red candle during your morning journaling or the end of your day meditation. Whisper your dreams to it. Let it witness your transformation and then snuff it out with gratitude. The Beltane fire reminds us that we are made of sparks and soul and that transformation is always, always possible. And also that passion is a sacred force, right? It's not something to hide. It's something to celebrate. All right, I definitely need to mention the May Queen and the Horned God because in the Radiant Heart of Beltane, these two great archetypes rise to meet each other. They are the sacred lovers of the season, embodiments of life in full bloom and desire unbridled. Their union is not only mythic, but deeply energetic, sparking fertility, passion, and a divine balance just across the land as a whole. They are not just characters in an ancient story. They really are forces that live within the earth, the cosmos, and within each of us. The May Queen is like Our Lady of Blossoms. She is known by many names, I think. The May Queen, the Flower Bride, Lady of the Land even. She is the radiant goddess crowned with blossoms, rising with the blooming of hawthorn, wild roses, and apple trees. In some traditions, she is the youthful aspect of the goddess, returning in her maiden form after the long slumber of winter. In others, she's a queen, right? Choosing her consort to awaken the land and ensure these cycles of life continue. Historically, the May Queen was honored in May Day processions, honestly from across Europe, especially though in England, where young women were chosen to wear white dresses and floral crowns, riding in parades and presiding over maypole dances. But this, innocent appearance masked older, deeper roots. For the May Queen is no passive maiden. She is a goddess of vitality, of sacred sexuality, and of choice. She embodies the power of the feminine in her fullest bloom. Not just, soft and sweet, but wild, fertile, and commanding. In Celtic myth, she can be linked to the goddess like Blodeuwedd, born of flowers, and Flora from Roman tradition, the goddess of flowering plants. Her energy mirrors that of Persephone, returning from the underworld, and of Brigid, transformed from maiden of Imbolc to blooming queen of May. And we also have the horned god, right? The wild one, the spark of life. Opposite of our beautiful queen, rising from the green woods, is the horned god, the green man, the stag king. He is not the cold, distant sky god of patriarchal order. but the earth-rooted consort, the wild masculine in harmony with nature. With antlers that pierce the heavens and feet rooted in the soil, he is both hunter and guardian, like lover and life bringer. At Beltane, the horn god reaches his height. He is no longer the newborn son of Yule or the growing youth of Ostara. He is in full power, and he comes not to dominate, but to meet the May Queen as her equal, to merge in sacred union. Often this is referred in Wiccan and pagan traditions as the Great Rite. This union is symbolic of the balance between masculine and feminine energies. That the dance of light and dark, life and death, growth and decay. Their sacred marriage ignites the earth. Crops grow, flowers burst forth, animals breed, and life continues, not just biologically, but spiritually. It is the promise that the wheel will keep turning. Now, the celebration of the May Queen and the horned god was not confined to altars or myth. It lived in the seasonal rites of ancient people. The maypole itself symbolized this sacred union, the pole being masculine, entering the earth being feminine, with ribbons entwined like lovers' limbs. Folk plays such as, the Robin Hood and the Maid Marian traditions in England echoed this story. With the forest outlaw, a representation of the wild god, courting and claiming his lover. Bonfires were lit not just for light or warmth, but, to honor the joining of these archetypal forces. Even in villages where the deeper meanings were maybe a little more forgotten, the dances, flowers, and fire remained because the energy of this union is too vital to disappear completely. How do we honor them today? Modern witches and mystics. I think we honor the May Queen and the horned god in our own lives, right? We begin by seeing their energy everywhere. In the warmth of the sun on our skin, in the bursting of colors of spring flowers, in the pulse of our own desire to create, connect, and, come alive. They live within us. The part that wants to dance barefoot, and kiss with abandon, to laugh under the stars, and to feel worthy of both giving and receiving love. Now, to honor the May Queen, we can create a flower crown this year and wear it during our rituals or honestly just in our walks in nature. Choose flowers with meaning, wild rose for love, daisy for purity, hawthorn for protection. We can build an altar adorned with fresh blossoms, a mirror to honor her beauty, and offerings like honey and strawberries or wine. And then we can also journal with her energy, Ask, where am I ready to bloom? What parts of me are longing to be seen and celebrated? Now, to honor the horned god, we can spend time in the woods or wild places, leave offerings of oats and cider or a song sung aloud. Work with symbols like the stag, oak leaves, antlers, or acorns. And we can carry a small charm with us to embody his protective and fertile energy. We can always reflect, too, just on our own sacred masculinity, regardless of our gender, Ask, where am I being called to show up with, strength and sensitivity? What needs igniting in my life? And then to honor their union as a whole, I like the idea of lighting a red and white candle, together on our altars. That's going to symbolize, passion and purity, that union and balance. I like the idea of just dancing, Dancing alone or with others. Move your body in a way that celebrates this life. Beltane is sensual, it's embodied and definitely alive. And then we can also, practice the Great Rite in spirit, even if not in a literal sense. This could be as simple as blending two oils, weaving two colored cords, or planting seeds in the earth as a symbolic act of sacred union. This is the season. It's the season to fall in love with being alive, to see divinity not as something distant, but as something dancing like right here, in the pollen, in the breeze, the touch of a hand, or the scent of lilacs in a bloom. The May Queen and the Horned God remind us that magic is not only in the stars. It's in the way we kiss and laugh and touch and create and commit to living fully. So as the sun rises on Beltane morning, and the veil thins just enough for us to catch a shimmer of something otherworldly, a glint of mischief in the trees, a little sparkle of dew kissed with ancient knowing. May 1st reminds us this is not just a date. It's not a date on the calendar. It is a liminal portal, a sacred threshold where the earthly and the enchanted dance hand in hand. The Fae are close right now. They gather in secret glens and circle the roots of hawthorn trees. Their laughter is woven into the birdsong and the breeze. And on Beltane, they are not just watching. I think they are inviting us to play. But, to walk with the Fae requires respect. A flower left in offering, a whisper of gratitude to the wild things, a moment of, silence at the edge of the garden where the veil shimmers. This is how we call them near. Now, before the sun dries the morning, we gather dew from petals, from leaves, from the skin of the earth herself. For centuries, witches and wise folk have believed that Beltane dew carries that magic like nothing else. Beauty, vitality, healing, and luck. So a splash of it on your face for youth, a sprinkle of it on seeds for growth, or, anointing our tools or our altar with it. This dew is a blessing from the in-between, that liminal space. It's a gift of spring made sacred. And as the day blooms, the maypoles rise, right? Symbol of joy, life, and union. It invites us to dance our magic into the world. Each ribbon we weave carries a little prayer, a dream, a seed of something that we long to grow. And as we circle it, we remember we are not just observers of the season, right? We are the creators within it. The land comes alive through us, through our hands, through our breath and our heartbeat. Above it all, the May Queen walks, crowned in blossoms. She is radiant, wild, and awake. And beside her, the Horned God moves. Strength and vitality incarnate, the green man risen in full glory. Together they remind us of the sacred dance of life, not just fertility of body, but of spirit, of passion, of possibility, of becoming more than we were. Their union is not a story of dominance, but of divine balance, of coming together in reverence, meeting each other in full bloom. And perhaps, I believe, this is the deepest Beltane magic of all, a reminder that, we too are worthy of sacred union, that we can meet the world and each other with open hearts, with wild devotion and joyful embodiment. My wishes for you, this year, I really do hope you carry the laughter of the Fae in your pockets, the blessings of dew on your skin, the rhythm of the maypole in your step, and the fire of the sacred lovers in your soul. We are witches walking between the worlds, and on Beltane, those worlds are not so far apart. All right, I do have a Beltane poem for us today, and the moon update, of course, for this week. I will go grab those notes, and I will be right back. Let's go ahead and start with the Beltane poem, and it goes. The ribbons fly, the flowers sing, the May Queen dances in the ring. The Horned God laughs with eyes so bright, their love ignites in the morning light. The Fae peek out from moss and tree, inviting all to dance with glee. We leap the fire, we spin the pole, with open hearts and kindred soul. Dewdrops kiss the meadow's cheek, their magic ours if we dare seek. So light your flame and let it play, the world is wild with Beltane's day. All right, the beautiful moon is waxing crescent right now. And how perfect, right? Like how beautifully perfect with Beltane tomorrow. As if the earth and sky made a secret pact to renew, ignite, and awaken us from within and without. While Beltane is traditionally associated with, fire, light, and the peak of fertility, the new moon brings us into sacred shadow. It is the time of planting unseen seeds, of intentions whispered into the dark soil of the soul. It's, the cosmic inhale before the bloom. And when these two energies align, flame and void, passion and stillness, I think we're invited into a pretty powerful threshold. We're not just celebrating life's fullness, we are calling it forth. We're not just dancing in joy right now, we are dreaming into what joy could become. This is a moment to ask, once again, what am I ready to create, even if I can't yet see it? What parts of me needs fire to rise and darkness to grow strong? Now, you might celebrate by lighting a single candle in total darkness, offering maybe your intentions to both the moon and the Mayfire, or maybe writing a love letter to your future self, sealing it with wax and burying it beneath a flowering potted plant. Let it bloom in time. This Beltane, new moon, waxing moon energy is not only a celebration. I think it's kind of like a spell, right? Think of it as a wish carried on smoke and shadow. It's a rebirth just wrapped in blossoms. Well, as we bring today's Beltane episode to a close, I want to take a moment to, kind of weave together the energies that have been dancing through our time together. Tiny paws and roaring fires, moonlight and meadows, and the love that just moves through it all. This week, with 6 newborn kittens curled in my care, I have been reminded that Beltane is not only a celebration of fire and passion, but also of guardianship and gentleness. These little souls, honestly no bigger than like my palm, are living symbols of Beltane's promise, new life, hope, and the beautiful courage it takes to grow. Their presence is a tender counterpart to the fierce fire of the Sabbath, and it has made my experience of Beltane this year feel just a little more sacred, a little more grounded in the everyday magic of love in action. We are in the waxing phase of the moon right now, building steadily towards growth, abundance, and manifestation. And this Beltane, with the gift of the new moon energy, it really is a perfect union of potential and power. Right? New moons are when we plant intentions, and Beltane is when we ignite them with desire. So together, we've got it, right? We have got a very potent spark for transformation. My friends, my witchy work wishes family, whether you are lighting a fire, writing a spell, nurturing a dream, or caring for tiny little lives like I am right now, know that you are in harmony with the pulse of the earth and the breath of the moon. Now is the time to lean into your longings and feed what you wish to flourish. And before I let you go, I want to leave you with a very old, very magical reminder. On the morning of May 1st, before the sun rises too high, go out and gather the dew. Let it touch your skin, your face, your heart. The dew of Beltane is said to bring beauty and blessings and a connection to the fae and nature spirits that linger just beyond the veil. So whether you bottle a bit of it for your altar or simply bless yourself with its sacred touch, you are stepping into a ritual that witches and wild women have honored for generations. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here with me, for sharing the firelight, the moonlight, and the magic of this Beltane season. From tiny kittens to ancient traditions, may we all be reminded that love, fierce and soft, is the truest spell we'll ever cast. I did post a video of the kittens, and I will be adding more pictures and videos to our Patreon account if you want to follow along and see their progress. For now, though, I hope you have an amazing rest of your week and weekend, and I will talk with you next week. Thank you for joining me today at Witchy Work Wishes, a place to find your weekly inspiration for bringing your personal witchcraft practice into your business, work, and office. For more information and additional content, please visit me online at witchyworkwishes.com. If you want to send me a personal note, please email me at info@witchyworkwishes.com. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Witchy Work Wishes.